Good afternoon, welcome to Solent Sports News. It's 3 o'clock and I'm Matt Clues. There was some mouth-watering ties drawn for the last 16 of the Champions League this morning. Tottenham against Juventus and Chelsea with Barcelona, just two of the matches ready for February. Chelsea boss Antonio Conte said his side will have no fear. I'm now joined by Max Clark to take us through the rest of the draw. Max.
Yes, thank you, Matt. So the Champions League draw was this morning, as you mentioned, and it threw up some very interesting clashes. PSG versus Real Madrid is being touted as one which could present the eventual winner of the group competition. Juventus Spurs, a big one for both teams who have been outsourcing their respective league campaigns so far. Basel versus Manchester City, the favourable draw for Manchester City given their record in the league so far. Porto versus Liverpool, another interesting one for Liverpool, away at a very raucous away team. Other fixtures include Shakhtar Donetsk against AS Roma, Chelsea Barcelona. That's another big one. Two big teams coming to clash. Bayern and Besiktas, Sevilla and Manchester United. So it threw up some extremely interesting clashes. Big teams face each other very early in that.
Who for you has got the hardest draw after that draw this morning?
It's hard to find any other team other than Chelsea against Barcelona. Chelsea are a good team. They are an organised team, but Barcelona are one of the best teams in the world for a reason. And they're going to severely test Chelsea, who have times this year been fragile and sometimes not been as good as, not hit the heights that they know they can reach. And they'll be tested by a Barcelona team that's very, very good in possession.
So I think a question that is being asked is, can an English team actually win the Champions League this year? We haven't had an English winner since 2012 with Chelsea, but can the team potentially go on and do it this year?
If it's possible, it's entirely possible this year, which sounds a bit cliche given all the other years, which we probably say that too. But the obvious hope right off the bat is Manchester City. They got not an easy draw, but they have an easier one than say Spurs and say Chelsea. They've got a decent chance of it against Basel, and then who knows, maybe their quarter-final draw is favourable, and then after that there's only other two parts left until they're at the very end final. So if you're putting money on it, maybe it's Manchester City so far, or maybe Manchester United who have Sevilla.
Just two more things. Just a quick word on Tottenham. No one expected them to win the group in the group of death that it was so called. How do you feel they have done this year, and how far could they go?
It's an interesting one for Spurs. Obviously, if there was no Real Madrid that they had conquered in their group, then maybe people would be looking at Juventus draw and thinking that that's going to be where they stop. It's a good measuring stick for Tottenham to see how far they've really come. They were very good in both games against Real Madrid, especially at home where they obviously won 3-1. But against Juventus, a team that's been there, done it, especially last year, they came very close to actually winning the competition. It's another stern test for them. It's a very stern test.
And the British teams in the Europa League, Celtic have Zenit St Petersburg, but Arsenal have Östersunds of the Swedish league. How do you feel they will get on in the Europa League this year?
It's a very interesting one because Östersunds are a very recent team. They've just now hit the heights. I think one stat I found is that Arsene Wenger's been manager of Arsenal longer than Östersunds have been a team. So it's going to be interesting to see how they handle that. They're very good in the Swedish league. I believe they're in the top 5 at the moment. It's not going to be easy. Going to their backyard will never be easy. It's not easy in any European game. So if Arsenal played the kids, maybe it's like that.
Thank you very much, Max, for your time. Southampton boss Mauricio Pellegrino says his team can compete in the Premier League after their recent run of form. Saints were impressive in a 1-1 draw against Arsenal at St Mary's yesterday. Pellegrino says there is progress being shown.
I feel that little by little we are growing, and the team today showed that we are competitive, and this is one of my goals in this club. Doesn't matter the opponent, because being competitive is completely different than to have a group of players with quality, no?
There is some positive news for England as they head into the third Ashes test down under. All-rounder Moeen Ali thinks Mark Wood has a great chance of playing a part in this series. Wood took a couple of wickets in a tour match on his return from injury. Ali thinks he is prepared enough to be thrown into the team.
Talking to him, he feels very confident in his own game and he feels like he's ready and he's back to his best. So I was really impressed the way he bowled, and it was good to see from an English point of view.
Sticking with cricket, it is more controversy for Pakistan cricket. Former opening batsman Nasir Jamshed has been banned for a year for not cooperating with an investigation involving match fixing. Jamshed is the fifth player to be involved with spot fixing in the Pakistan Super League and was arrested by British police in February. Paralympic champions Sophie Hahn and Kadina Cox will lead an England team at next year's Commonwealth Games. The pair, who both suffer with cerebral palsy, will lead an 18-person team on Australia's Gold Coast in April. Cox won running and cycling gold at the Rio Games in 2016. Great Britain topped the medal table at the European Cross Country Championships. They won 5 gold and 4 bronze in Slovakia over the weekend, finishing 2 ahead of Turkey in second. The victories came in the women's senior race, women's under-20 and under-23 races and the senior mixed relay. And finally, if you thought the snow was bad in the UK yesterday, then spare a thought for the NFL. Buffalo Bills played out a 13-7 win over the Indianapolis Colts in a New York blizzard last night. Bills officials had appealed for help from fans to help shovel the snow on the eve of the match. There were even some snowmen watching on. Now we go back to our main stories today. There were some mouth-watering ties drawn for the last 16 of the Champions League this morning. Tottenham against Juventus and Chelsea, with Barcelona just 2 of the matches ready for February. Chelsea boss Antonio Conte has said his side will not fear Barcelona. And a reaction on Arsenal against Southampton. Southampton boss Mauricio Pellegrino says his team can compete in the Premier League after their recent run of form. Saints were impressive in a 1-1 draw against Arsenal at St Mary's yesterday. Pellegrino says there is progress being...
I feel that little by little we are growing, and the team today showed that we are competitive, and this is one of my goals in this club. Doesn't matter the opponent, because being competitive is completely different than to have a group of players with quality, no?
And we're going to bring Max back in now. Saints have Leicester on Wednesday night. Claude Puel returns to St Mary's. How do you think that both teams will fare?
It's an interesting one. Puel's back at his old stomping ground, and the reality is he's fared quite well since taking over at Leicester. So it's going to be interesting to see where Saints are now, because they were very good against Arsenal, especially in the first half, but they had problems taking their chances, and Arsenal ends up catching them. And Puel's energetic side with Mahrez and Vardy could catch them quickly.
Thank you very much for that, Max. That's all from us for now. I'll be back in an hour. Remember, you can keep up to date on our website, solentjournalism.co.uk, or follow us on social media at Solent Sports News on Facebook and Twitter.